Oh my god, you killed Kenny, you dirt!
This show is one of the most unfiltered shows out there. There are no rules, no one is safe, and all the main characters have their own sort of devious tendencies. But if we look at the show from outside the box, we notice that there are darker implications for all their actions. So today I compiled the top 10 South Park scary urban legends. I'm your host Andrew, and let's get right into this. At number 10 spot, we have the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. A Reddit user by the name of Antenu suggested that Kenny, Cartman, Kyle, and Stan represent the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. For those who don't know, the Four Horsemen start with the white horse that is wielding a bow, wearing a crown, and symbolizing conquest and Christ himself. The next is a red horse who is said to be the maker of all war, conflict, and evil as a whole. The third is a black horse representing famine, and the final horse is pale, and on it is death himself. So this Reddit user suggested that Cartman represents conquest, or the white horse, for his drive to rule over everything and acting like a leader more than anything. Kenny represents death, well, because for a time being, this kid would literally die every single episode. Next we have Kyle as war because he's short-tempered and tends to get into heated arguments easily. Then last he said Stan is famine, but he didn't really give a proper explanation, so we're just gonna act like that never was mentioned. So Four Horsemen for kids, what do you guys think? Number 9, Church of Scientology. In the show we see South Park making fun of the Church of Scientology on more than one occasion.
You can't make fun of Scientology, kid. We are gonna sue your ass and your balls.
In the Trapped in the Closet episode in the 9th season of the show, we see things like Tom Cruise refusing to leave Stan's closet.
Cruise, this is Park County Police. Please come out of the closet.
And then making fun of the Church of Scientology. This included highlighting some of the strange principles associated with this religion.
You revealed a secret which began the whole Church of Scientology.
But this ended up backfiring on the show. This is because once this episode was aired, the Church of Scientology decided to sue the show for its own parody. I mean, the Church of Scientology sues everyone, so is this really a surprise? Nah, not really. Now, to this day, the creators of South Park are still being attacked by the Church of Scientology, but at this point, they could just step back and laugh. And the Church of Scientology is not giving up, because after attempting to sue them, they didn't stop there. They released many secret petitions and released other outlandish statements in order to ruin the reputation of the show, but looks like it will never work out for them. At number 8 spot, we have South Park is Purgatory. South Park is full of fools that don't understand common sense. Well, at least it feels like that for the majority of the show. One explanation is that South Park is a kind of a purgatory, where departed people deemed too foolish to associate with others are sent to spend eternity here. This is why there are so many idiots in the town. They are purposely placed there in an apparent attempt to keep paradise as a place for the more intelligent, well-behaved, and generally civilized people. A Reddit user by the name of Ye855 backs this up by mentioning that the constant interactions between Devil and Jesus say that these interactions are actually attempts to improve their poor souls and finally leave South Park. This is mainly the case for adults, but as for the children, they are said to be angels sent to the town just to observe. They must do this in order to avoid being like one of the dumb adults living inside of this town. At number 7 spot, we have Officer Barbrady isn't a cop.
What is it, Officer Barbrady?
Huh? Where?
Barbrady is South Park's former main police officer. He is known for his incompetence and not having any sort of awareness when it comes to literally anything. This inability to perform his job has led Reddit user TT Milker to believe that he isn't a cop at all and instead is the clown of the town, only pretending to be an officer. He goes on further to say that the whole town is aware of this and allows him to play cop because they just feel bad for him. For example, he is always seen wearing a large misshapen police badge, which looks like something he just put together. Also, no one really takes him seriously. When a crime happens, they kinda know nothing will happen about it and they go to the Park County Police Station for help. He is also never seen with partners or any other officers, showing that he is potentially the only cop when that isn't the case. And most of all, when there is a crime, all he usually says is, "Move along, nothing to see here."
Okay, people, move along. There's nothing to see here.
And this is supposedly because he is waiting for the real police to show up. At number 6 spot, we have Eric Cartman is evil because of the town.
Eric Cartman!
Eric Cartman is one of the kids that everyone hates because he never really has nothing nice to say, and he's just a big bully overall. But this wasn't always the case. A Reddit user by the name of Stab Hamsters came up with this theory that Eric got more and more evil as the show progresses due to the people of South Park. In the first 4 seasons of the show, we see Eric as a typical bully and a brat. But after the season 5 episode, Scott Tenorman Must Die, he noticed that Eric was starting to have psychotic tendencies. The Reddit user pointed out that Cartman's self-esteem was being destroyed by the town. For example, he is constantly being being reminded of his mother's drug and mental issues, and for an 8-year-old you can see how this affects him a lot. In the episode Jacovosaurs, Eric is trying to make these species welcome in South Park, but eventually the town would lie to him and send them away to Paris. However, in a season 24 episode, adult Eric Cartman agrees to help out adult versions of Kyle and Stan go back in time, only to find out that Eric is homeless and depressed. Basically, if Eric never lived in the town, he would be a much happier and friendly person. In the Hunt for a list, we have ManBearPig is Real. ManBearPig is another one of South Park's amazing creations that is both entertaining and a sharp critique of global issues.
ManBearPig?
Al Gore in the South Park universe wants to scare everyone about global warming by inventing a magnificent creature named ManBearPig. Despite appearing in Imagination Land, the monster is regarded to be a foolish fabrication of Al Gore, until a fan demonstrated how ManBearPig may be genuine in the context of the South Park universe. According to the hypothesis, ManBearPig is the outcome of Mr. Stotch burying that pig in the Indian burial place in the episode Margarine. Since the pig was dressed in Butters' clothes, which had Butters' DNA in it, which in turn had some bear DNA when Butters wore a bear suit in the episode Stupid Spoiled Video Playset. Everything combined into a cocktail that resulted in the creation of a ManBearPig.
Okay, ManBearPig is real.
I mean, that's a whole lot of thought going into proving the existence of a creature that's half man, half bear, and half pig. At number 4 spot, we have Kenny has anti-aging powers. Kenny is one of the icons of the show. He's a quiet kid wearing a large orange parka, except this quiet kid is responsible for anti-aging somehow. Okay, for those who don't know, for the first 5 seasons of South Park, Kenny would literally die every single episode, only to surprisingly appear in the next one.
Oh, I got scared, Kenny! Oh, bastards!
Fans theorize that Kenny isn't in fact immortal, but he does have a unique ability to regenerate. It states that time then wraps around him in a supernatural way, and the whole town of South Park has gotten wrapped in this regenerative time warping phenomenon. So every time he passes away, there are these time fluxes in South Park which explain why trends like hybrid vehicles and other crazy inventions seem to develop and then just die out of nowhere. It was confirmed that Kenny's immortality is a result of his parents formerly attending a cult meeting. Every time he dies, his mother rebirths him and he quickly grows up to be the same age. At number 3 spot, we have Kenny's family is poor because of all of his funerals. Now back to Kenny. So I already mentioned how he passes away every single episode in the first 5 seasons. Well, it's also theorized that his family is extremely broke because of all the times he has passed, having to pay for a funeral for every single day. Just imagine.
Oh my god! They killed Kenny! You bastard!
This theory would somewhat explain why his parents appear to be abusive drunks with little to no knowledge on how the outside world works. Basically, they've had to pay for dozens of funerals for their son, only to have him come back to life and just die each time again.
We killed Kenny? Kill Kenny, we're bastards.
You can imagine how frustrating and financially damaging this could be for the parents.
Oh my god, they killed Kenny! You bastards!
So it's no wonder why they're like who they are, and this is just very sad regardless. At number 2 spot, we have Kenny needs an eye transplant. Now back onto another theory about Kenny's death, because there was just so much mystery on why he would just die and resurrect in the next show like nothing happened. The episode Coon and Friends in season 14, episode 13, indicated that his parents' involvement in the cult gatherings was to blame. Every time Kenny was killed, he learned that his mother would give birth to him again the next night. Since he grew up to the age he was before death nearly instantaneously. While few people seem to remember these incidents, at least one individual was aware of them. Cartman has been on several occasions to accept Kenny's death, explaining what's going on to Stan and Kyle, but never progressing. According to one scenario, Cartman is aware of Kenny's predicament due to an eye transplant he received from Kenny's frozen head. According to the argument, the transplanted eye enabled Cartman to see things through Kenny's eyes, allowing him to become aware of his repeating deaths and apparent immortality. At a number 1 spot, we have Kenny is very wealthy. Aside from dying every episode, one of Kenny's defining characteristics is that he comes from a poor and chaotic household. Fans have speculated that Kenny's ongoing sequence of deaths and his family's financial problems are related. Kenny's family decide to take advantage of his power to die and resurrect him by purchasing a life insurance policy on him. As a result, whenever Kenny dies, his family receives a large sum of money. He is revived and the cycle continues. Despite looking not so wealthy, Kenny manages to keep up with his toy and video game trends, including becoming the first youngster in South Park to get a PSP. The majority of the money from Kenny's deaths, however, is squandered by his parents' careless drinking and drug usage, which is why they live in such a rundown house. Kenny's parents' drug and alcohol addictions could possibly explain why they don't question how their son always comes back to life after dying. They're high and they're drunk all the time, so everything just makes sense to them. Well, these are the top 10 South Park scary urban legends. What do you guys think about this list? Leave a comment down below with your thoughts, like and subscribe to this page for some more content. I'm your host Andrew, and I hope you guys have a scary day.